Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back for the ABCs of Horror Challenge with my review of Satanic. The ABCs of Horror is a challenge in which we make our way from A to Z, watching and reviewing horror movies that begin with each letter of the alphabet. We must go in order, and we cannot skip any letters, but we can do this at our own pace. I've arrived at the letter S, and for me, in the ABCs of Horror, S is for Satanic. Released in 2016, Satanic stars Sarah Hyland, who most people will probably know as Haley Dunphy from Modern Family. That's the reason I bought this DVD in the first place. Not only am I a huge Modern Family fan, it's one of my all-time favorite sitcoms, but I'm also a huge fan of Sarah Hyland. How can anyone not be? She's adorable and massively talented. Not only can she act, but she has a really awesome singing voice. I've had this DVD in my collection for a while now, and fairly early on, when I started doing the ABCs of Horror, I knew this would be the movie I'd watch and review for the letter S. So, I did finally watch it, and guys, I'm confused. Like, really, really confused. Not about anything in the film, but confused about why this isn't a modern-day horror classic. I'm really not exaggerating. I know it seems like I like everything, but the fact of the matter is, I typically only review movies that I do enjoy, because I'm not going to waste time talking about movies I dislike. This is on a whole new level, though. Satanic should be talked about. It deserves the attention that beloved mainstream horror movies receive. People who are not as huge a fan of Sarah Hyland as I am, or simply do not recognize her on this cover, might chalk this up to another run-of-the-mill independent horror film. And those who do that would be severely missing out. I'm blown away once again. When I reviewed Pyewacket for the letter P in the ABCs of Horror, I talked about how so many of us horror fans are desensitized. We don't really get scared while watching horror films. We just get entertained. But there are movies every now and then that creep us out, and that was the case with Pyewacket for me. Well, desensitization aside, Satanic is even scarier. Sarah Hyland plays Chloe, who, along with her boyfriend Dave, her cousin Elise, and Elise's boyfriend Seth, are on their way to Coachella. Chloe is the typical, kind, beautiful, good girl, although I wouldn't call her typical. I think she's pretty extraordinary. David is a frat boy type, but an overall good guy, and a good boyfriend to Chloe. Elise is a bit annoying, but she is Chloe's cousin, and she and Seth are both goths. They are also very much both into real-life occult occurrences. And so, on the way to Coachella, the group decides to take a 2-day tour of true crime occult sites in Los Angeles. One stop at the tour that, of course, stood out to me most was the Tate residence on Cielo Drive. That's where Sharon Tate and her friends were brutally murdered by the Manson family. The four of them even stay in a hotel room with a real-life occult connection. It's the room where Lainey Gore slashed herself open and painted the wall with her blood. Chloe and Dave are not really into all of this occult stuff, but they're doing it for Elise and Seth. At one point on their tour, they stop by an occult shop. While there, they have a run-in with the shop owner, who they believe to be a real Satanist. So, later on, the group makes the dumb horror character trope decision to follow him. This leads them toward the coast, and deep down a dirt road. They find a rundown house and spy outside one of the windows. They witness what appears to be a satanic ritual inside. People in hooded robes are gathered in a circle. Inside the circle is a topless girl and the shop owner, who is about to slit her throat. But before he can, the girl runs off, and Chloe and her friends are spotted by the people inside. They run back to Dave's van and get away okay. But back at the hotel, Seth realizes he dropped his phone. He wants to go back for it, but the rest of the group refuses. The next morning, Chloe wakes up to Elise's phone ringing. Someone is calling from Seth's missing phone. So Chloe answers. It's the naked girl from the ritual who was almost slashed. Her name is Alice. She meets up with the group at a local diner to return Seth's phone and tells them she had to get away from, I guess you could call them, the cult. Alice has nowhere to go, though, so Chloe, being the sweetheart she is, offers to let her stay in their hotel room for the night. When they arrive, Alice immediately recognizes the room as Laney Gore's. She seems to know a lot about it and tells them the real story of what happened there. They drink and dance and make out. And then it's as if something takes over Alice. She claims she can feel Laney's presence in the room. Elise and Seth get out their Ouija board, but Alice doesn't need that. Instead, she invites all of them to hold hands, and despite being reluctant at first, even Chloe agrees. Alice paints a pentagram on the wall and numbers each point 1 through 5. She tells the others they will all be summoned to hell, and she will be first. And then Alice slashes her own throat in front of them. I know it probably sounds like I'm giving too much away, but I really don't think so. I feel it's necessary to understand where the movie goes from here. Alice had marked each point of the pentagram with the numbers 1 through 5. And warned the others that they would be summoned to hell in order. She was first, so obviously one of the other 4 will be number 2. One of the others will be 3, and then 4, and then of course 5. At first, the group just thinks Alice was crazy. They're traumatized about what she did, but they don't think anything will come from it. Unfortunately for them, they are dead wrong. Satanic is basically the best Hellraiser sequel that's not actually a Hellraiser sequel. Although with just a few minor changes, it really could have been one. The way Alice describes what hell is really like before she dies is chilling. I won't spoil how she describes it. I'll let you watch the film and hear it for yourself. Alice's suicide in front of the others is super disturbing. Like Laney Gore before her, she left quite the bloody mess in that room. Sarah Hyland as Chloe is such a great protagonist. I wish she would do more horror films. She proves she can carry a movie and deserves more leading roles like this. All of the occult stuff is scary as it is. But add to that the fact that this group is in unfamiliar territory. They're sort of lost in LA, and for much of the movie, a sort of bad part of the city. There's that lack of control of your own fate with the occult. There's the unfamiliarity of your surroundings. And then Elise gets really sick. I've always said people sick in dangerous situations makes it that much scarier. Not only are you fighting to survive whatever the threat might be, but you're sick on top of it. Satanic checks both of those boxes, along with the unfamiliar territory. All of that makes for a truly terrifying film. For those of you interested in pervy things, we do get Naked Alice, like I mentioned earlier, and there's a fairly lengthy sequence of Chloe walking around braless with a thin shirt. Just use your imagination. Or, even better, watch the movie. I found the third act of Satanic scary as hell. Pun intended. I ask for your own benefit, if you do watch this, try to put yourself in the shoes of the characters. Imagine if you were in their situation. It's horrifying. And my God, the ending. Oof. It's not one I'm likely to forget about anytime soon. It will stay with me for a while. This whole movie will. I couldn't pull my eyes from the screen, and I did not want it to end. Satanic was fantastic. I'm glad I decided early on in the ABCs of horror that S would be for Satanic. Have you seen it? If so, what do you think of it? Comment below and let me know. As always, please be sure to support everyone else participating in the ABCs of Horror Challenge. If you too would like to join in, please do. Just start with the letter A, make sure you go in order, and do not skip any letters. There's no pressure. You can do this on your own time, at your own pace. Which horror movie beginning with the letter T will I watch and review for the ABCs of horror? Check back soon to find out. Until then, remember, physical media matters. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that thumbs up and, be kind, subscribe.